Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of Take One with me, Silverfilter. And for today, I'm gonna talk about Redrum. And some may say that some even think that Redrum's already obsolete since Kong came in Reason 5. But I'm sure there are a lot of users out there who still prefer Redrum or use Redrum, and I'm sure a lot of other users as well haven't upgraded yet or are still planning to, or because I there are a lot of reasons that people can still find use for Redrum, especially those who love the programming of drum machines compared to just hitting pads. And I'm just gonna go over some more advanced, or let me say more detailed controls in Redrum that a lot of us may have skipped over in using Redrum just to sequence stuff, and haven't really gone to use the full potential of the knobs in front of the interface of Redrum. And without further ado, let's get to it. And I prepared a few samples here just to give you an idea, and just to present the demos in more detail, and just to give you a better picture of how these knobs affect particular sounds in relation to what you're programming. So of course, just go over the basics. We have the sends, the pan, and we have the level and the velocity here. Usually it's just by default fixed in 42. Sorry, 40. Yeah. And what this does is that it adjusts the dynamics of your hits. So if you put it in zero, regardless of how hard you hit the key, even if it's really soft, it's just gonna be always um, a consistent level. Now by default it is in 40, so that to create a particular um, dynamic to the hit. So now I'm hitting it softly, and then the louder I hit it, the louder the volume gets. And the reverse holds true. You know the softer you hit it, the louder it is, and then the stronger you hit the key, the softer it gets. Okay. And then we have the length of the sample, and we have the gate mode here, the gate switch, which I will explain in a bit using a snare sample. And then we have the pitch, and we have the tone, the brighter and darker. Now, same thing with the velocity to tone knob. You know, the stronger you hit the key, the brighter it gets, and the softer, the softer you hit it, it's the same goes to the original sound or the darker sound of the sample. Okay. This is placed in channel 1, 2, and 10. Since, for example, in channel 1, you usually put a bass drum, and there's a just to make the sound of the bass drum, especially if you're just going for a more acoustic sound, and some variations in tone. It's nice to adjust the velocity to tone knob, so you have different levels of brightness and darkness to it. And then we have channel 3, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, having the same controls. The difference now is it has a start knob and velocity to start knob. Now, I put here a tom sample, and here a snare. So for the tom sample here, the usual thing that we have the start in 0 and the velocity in 0. The thing here is, um, the like with this sample that I used, there's a particular transient that, this very loud, the attacks solid. And what the start knob does is that you can move through the sample, so that so for example, we're at the default. We this is the default sound. Now, if you move your start, you can move through the sample, and for if you're looking for a particular part, we can hear in this part, it sounds like so. So if you have a limited palette of sounds, and you have it somehow gives you a new sound compared to this. See? And then the velocity to start. The useful thing about it is if you bring it down. Okay. So like when you're drumming, because I'm primarily a drummer, so there's a the softer you hit the keys, or for if you're really drumming, the softer you hit the drum, that the transient attack isn't just as loud, but it's not as solid as well. So the softer you hit it, you know, it's not just the volume isn't just low, but you know the transient isn't that sharp. Whereas if the louder we hit it here, the volume is up as well as the transient. You know, so that's one useful thing with the start and using the velocity to the start knob. And then here we have a snare sample, and the gate switch is we have the decay and the gate. I'm sorry, yeah, we have the decay and gate mode. So in the decay, it's gonna play the whole sample all throughout. See, whereas in gate mode, it will play the sample so long as your finger is on the key. So if I cut my playing on the keys, the sound also cuts. So the longer your finger is on the key, the longer it plays out. It's reminiscent, of course, of the old the drum machines, the real on analog drum machines. So and there's a particular sound to it. It's different, which you can also use creatively in your productions. Whereas if you just use the usual, there's a particular flavor the gate does to it. So that's a gate switch, gate decay switch. And lastly, we have the 6 and 7 here, has the pitch. It controls the pitch now. So for here, I put a ride sample here, and we have the pitch, the knob, same as all the channel, but we have the bend here. So the higher the bend, the higher the pitch starts. See, and the lower it is, the lower it starts. So it sounds funny using this sample, but I'm sure you can use it creatively whatever sample you use here. And then the rate here is a speed of how long the bend lasts. So if we have a long rate, so let's say here, see. See, the higher the rate is, the longer it gets. And the shorter it is, the quicker it bends. There. And then we have the bend, we have the velocity here. to pitch. So the best example, it's just the same as all the other velocity knobs. You know, the stronger the key, the stronger it affects the parameter it's affecting. So in this particular sample, I have a hi-hat, which I want to use as an example to to humanize your drum sound and make it more organic. So the stronger it gets, the higher the pitch there. And the softer it is, the lower the pitch. So what this does is, in real drums, in real hi-hats, the stronger you hit the hi-hat, there's a particular pitch. The pitch seems higher, and the softer it is, it's not as high, when you listen to it. So here, it adds some dynamics to your playing, even if you're just using one sample. See, just with your velocity to pitch, it not only affects the volume of your playing, but you also affect the pitch, which makes your drum programming sound more organic and human, as I mentioned earlier. And so there, the rest of it are the same as the other knobs that as I said, a lot of the channels are similar with each other, and that's digging deep into Redrum, and I will just do a more basic tutorial next time, covering the real controls, the basic controls of programming Redrum. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you picked up a thing or two. Subscribe if you're interested in learning more about Record and Reason, and I thank you for following my tutorials. So get programming. God bless. Thanks.